Coral Island will be getting its biggest update yet this year, featuring an expansion to the Merfolk Kingdom, ocean farming and ranching, new NPCs, quality of life improvements, and so much more. So, let's talk about all the newly revealed features. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sarah Sunstone, and today we have our very first episode of Thinking Out Loud, the show where I take a deep dive into a variety of interesting and exciting gaming topics, and share my honest thoughts with you all. Today's hot topic is Coral Island's latest developer update, which gave us a preview of all sorts of brand new features coming to the game for its 1.1 version. Please be warned ahead of our discussion that this video will include mid to late game spoilers, but otherwise, without any further ado, let's get right into it. While we've been able to build relationships with the landfolk in Coral Island for quite some time now, we've been restricted to making small talk with the merfolk and joining them along their daily routines. Well, all this is going to change with the next update, when we will finally be able to build relationships with them and learn all about our similarities and differences between merfolk and humans. Just like the land NPCs, merfolk will have their own unique likes and dislikes to learn, which is very useful for gifting purposes and gaining those relationship points. We'll also learn about their hobbies, passions, and stories, which will unravel through heart events, also known as cutscenes. Interestingly, it was also shared that if you talk to the right merfolk, they might reveal the advantages and disadvantages of being named after famous mountains, which is so interesting to finally hear the team speak on this. Those of you who have actively watched my videos and have been following Coral Island's development alongside me will be familiar with this topic, because we've heavily speculated on the lore that may be buried beneath the mountain-based names of the merfolk and even some of the landfolk. I'm so curious and excited to get some answers on this topic, so I will definitely be chatting with the merfolk nonstop until I get to the bottom of this. So it is important to note that the team shared we will have to advance far enough in the game to actually start building these friendships and relationships, while the overall mechanics of building relationships with the merfolk I imagine will be very similar, if not almost identical, to how we do so on land. I'm guessing the ability to do so won't actually unlock either until we've first accessed the Merfolk Kingdom, or perhaps once we've actually gained approval from the royal merfolk family. I think the latter would make a little bit more sense, because when you first enter the Merfolk Kingdom, you are not welcome, you are not trusted, at least not by all, so it would make sense that you would have to gain that trust first from the royal family to actually start chatting with, gifting, developing those relationships with all in the kingdom. But we will just have to wait and see. Of course, you will be able to build more than just friendships with very certain merfolk, specifically Denali, Sumeru, and Princess Miranjani. So get ready for romance under the sea, and be prepared to finally woo your favorite candidate in the game's 1.1 version. This means there will actually also be a brand new marriage location, and I'm so curious where it could possibly be. Those of you very familiar with the underwater map, do you have any speculations on this? The update will also bring at least 4 new townie characters to the Merfolk Kingdom. First, we have Ricey, featuring a manta ray tail who runs a tattoo shop, which you actually might have already spotted in the kingdom. She designs all the tattoos herself, dedicating a lot of time to perfecting her art, but she doesn't take custom orders and hopes that she'll find people who appreciate her work. The team asks, could that someone be you? Which basically confirms that we will be able to get tattoos in the Merfolk Kingdom, just no custom orders. I'm really excited for this new feature to be added to enhance character customization. The next new character's name is Slamet the Rancher, who can help you get animals for your new underwater ranch. He's trained countless seahorses, mermoos, and more, and we'll talk more about undersea ranching a little bit later in the video, but I did want to zero in on the fact that he's trained seahorses. First of all, I think that's interesting since he himself has a seahorse tail, but I also wonder if this is in reference to the standard size seahorses, like the little ones we can catch with our bug net, or if there may actually be larger varieties of the creature, which could potentially be used as an underwater mount, similar to our horse on land. We have spotted a certain area in the Merfolk Kingdom where there are saddles on display, but this is all just pure speculation. It's just interesting to think about and consider. Also, a little fun fact is that Slamet's name is very common in Indonesia, and it means safety or congratulations. Next, we have Janu, who we've been referencing as a reverse merfolk, as interestingly, he has a shark torso and human legs, so the opposite of what we've come to expect. Janu runs the Sleepy Eel, which is the local tavern, where you will find him full-time. This is another building we can already spot in the Merfolk Kingdom, though we can't yet enter. Outside of his occupation, the only thing the team shared with us so far is that he is single and not interested in dating because he doesn't want a relationship to complicate things. I thought it was interesting that this was the information they chose to give us about this very unique character, so I'd really like to learn more about who Janu really is once we get a chance to meet him in the game, and I have my fingers crossed that there will be at least one other character that has this reverse merfolk kind of vibe going. I think it would be nice to have another character to keep him company in spirit. You know what I'm saying? Finally, we have Tahat, a loyal guard with a koi tail, which is interesting because koi are freshwater fish. Tahat has served the kingdom for many years and is married to what he considers to be the most beautiful sea creature in the world named Etna. I don't know why it stood out to me that the team described Tahat's spouse as the most beautiful sea creature. I don't know if I'm just reading too much into it, but the wording choice is definitely interesting. Anyway, Tahat and Etna are Denali's parents, and you can actually spot their family house already in the Merfolk Kingdom. I'm definitely wondering if we will be able to meet Etna, and wondering if this points to other Merfolk Townies existing who we haven't yet been introduced to. It's also important to note that although the team didn't explicitly confirm individually for every single character that they won't be dateable, they were introduced overall as Townies, which is the category for non-romanceable NPCs. And they've also made it pretty clear that they've settled on their final lineup of dateables, but I do think it would be fair if they wanted to add Slimet as a second male candidate to have 2 male and 2 female merfolk options, since they do seem pretty set on not adding a goon. These are just my thoughts and what I would like to see, but I definitely would not hold my breath on this. Excitingly, with the 1.1 version, you will be able to start up a second farm, this time under the sea. We don't yet know how we will unlock this feature, but you will need to progress your game to a certain point in order to do so. You will first need to clear the farmland before you can start planting. You will still use your hoe to till the sand, just like on land. However, instead of watering your crops, you will actually need to give them light with a brand new tool that you will acquire called the Lumina Wand. I love this idea. The Lumina Wand could just be shown as a pretty color here, but it does almost appear to be an osmium variant, so I'm thinking that this will also be an upgradable tool, just like our others, going from basic, bronze, silver, gold, all the way to osmium. I'm also crossing my fingers that we will get a sprinkler equivalent of this item so that you'll be able to automate your underwater farm just like you can on land. But one of the coolest things about the ocean farming system to me is actually the way that you're going to obtain your seeds. You'll probably be able to purchase some from the general store in the Merfolk Kingdom, but you'll actually be able to create your own seeds using the trusty plant pouch, which can be found at your land farm, but will also be given another one under the sea. I'm excited to finally see how this plant pouch is going to be used, because we've been speculating about that for quite some time now. Previously, it was meant to be a tool for the giants to use as they would help you with your farm, but since the team has moved away from that course of development, it's been a big question mark until now as to how the plant pouch would actually function for us. So using this plant pouch, you're going to mix and match different land crops with other resources to produce all sorts of unique ocean crops. And so far, we've seen labu, sprout fruit, marinip, red reef bud, spring sea leaf, pink coral cap, twin shade sea leaf, bluebell blossom, gold glow, soca, halixspur blossom, marine thorn blossom, sea spuds, blue coal, and petalia. I can't wait to see these new unique crops grow, first of all. I'm also really curious to know what exactly we're going to be able to do with them. Will we just sell them and gift them as is? Will we be able to process them into artisan goods? Can we cook with them? Can we grow quality variants of them? To what extent can we automate our underwater farm? We'll have to wait and see, but I'm just so excited, for once, to farm in a farm sim. Imagine that. Ocean ranching will also make its way way to the game with Coral Island's 1.1 update with 5 unique underwater animals to choose from. You'll be able to purchase the animals from the Merfolk Ranch, which appears to be located near the Coliseum or in an area that resembles it. So it's pretty safe to say that the kingdom will be getting quite the makeover with this update. The Shell Cluck will produce spheres, which look like little pearls. The Incog will produce Deep Void ink. The Cara Poultry will produce Cara eggs. The Sea Shroud will produce Sea Shroud algae. And the Mermoo will produce Mermoo milk. You will be able to sell and likely gift these items, but I'm excited to see if we can also process them in a variety of ways, just like we do with the land-based animal products. I think we can also expect the overall system to behave similarly to land ranching, where you will need to construct an enclosure for them to provide them a proper safe home. This here looks like it could be the barn equivalent, as we can see the Mermoo here, which is one of the larger animals. So I wonder if there will also be a coop equivalent, or perhaps all animals will just be able to use this one enclosure. You will need to pet them and feed them hay. However, I'm curious to know if the buildings will be upgradable and whether these systems too can be automated. You will also be able to customize your ocean life with some brand new decor. So far, the team has revealed 3 unique fencing and archway options, so I'm hoping that these are just parts of larger decor sets and that there will be other fun items to design with. Just like on land, you'll also be able to decorate inside of your ocean home. Again, I really hope there will be a few collections of interior decor as well. The nice thing is that some of your land decor can actually be brought underwater and vice versa, so you have more variety to work with when decorating. It will be indicated in each item's description with specific tags, whether they can be used on land, underwater, or in both places. I personally would absolutely love to use the Merfolk furniture set on my underwater farm. Like, how perfect would that be? Now, in the previous developer update, the team shared that we will be able to increase our town rank to an S tier with special quest lines for each domain of the rank. So here the team shared that the orchestra sites we've seen when diving, which now we know are orchestra sites, will actually play a key role in our final quest to reach Ocean Rank S. I'm hoping that this will still involve solving a musical puzzle. I'm hoping these S-rank quests are going to be somewhat elaborate. They don't have to be anything crazy complex and overly lengthy, but I would like them to be somewhat substantial to give us, a few steps to actually complete, so it really feels satisfying to achieve that final rank of S. Plenty of other quality of life updates await us in Coral Islands version 1.1, starting with the addition of speech bubbles to your spouse to help bring the characters to life for a more immersive experience. I haven't gotten married yet in Coral Island. I'm waiting for the hangout and dating mechanics, but when I ultimately do, I love the idea of this new feature. The team has also worked to improve the decor system with regards to the user experience, though the only specific feature they shared is revamped wallpaper behavior. Now you'll be able to reuse the patterns you've collected, honestly, just as it should be. Next, the library will finally be getting books. However, it doesn't seem that we will actually be required to go out and collect them ourselves. Rather, the shelves will be slowly stocked as we increase our town rank. Interestingly, some books will actually offer perks upon reading them, like mastery points and a permanent buff that boosts the rate at which you earn relationship points. I think this is a really interesting mechanic. I'm curious to see if the perks extend beyond what was shared here. I'm also hopeful that there will be some fun little Easter eggs and secrets within the books. I want to learn something new when I read them. I want the developers to tell me something I don't know about Coral Island. I think that would be so fun. Finally, the team gave us our first look at multiplayer, sharing that tremendous progress has been made. This game mode will allow you to play with up to 3 other players, so 4 in total, and it actually appears that all players will share a house. You can see an in-game chat feature as well included on the bottom left portion of the screen, and here it reads, "So happy we could share a house like this." Me too. Looks a bit cramped though, but the inside is huge. Wow, what kind of sorcery is this? I wonder what the interior layout for these multiplayer houses will look like, and I also wonder how the exterior will look if you choose different customizations. Perhaps we'll get to learn a little bit more about this in June when the team will showcase multiplayer in their next developer update. So definitely stay tuned for my thoughts on that. They also shared an update that development for the Nintendo Switch is still going strong, but that they have nothing further to share at this time. I personally think that the team is unable to share anything specific with regards to the Nintendo Switch version of the game because we are at the end of the life cycle of the Switch. This is all speculation, but I really think that the next console is on the horizon, and I do believe that the team is likely developing for both the current Nintendo Switch and the next console. And I think because of this, they're just not able to share anything with us about it because they're under an NDA. I could be completely off, I could be completely wrong, but I do know for a fact that the team has had a Nintendo Switch developer kit for a very long time. It's one of the first things they shared in one of their earlier developer blogs. They've been working on this since basically the very beginning post Kickstarter, so I know they've spent lots of time on the Switch version. It feels like if it was up to them, they would be able to share a little bit of information with us beyond just they're working on it. So that, coupled with all of the rumors and speculation in the industry about the next Nintendo Switch-like console, is all what leads me to believe that this is the case. Take this with a grain of salt because these are just my thoughts, but definitely let me know what you think down in the comments. So when exactly can you play this update? Well, we don't have a release date for 1.1 just yet, but what we do have is a release date for the 1.1 beta, which will be launching just around the corner on May 20th. For those of you unfamiliar with Coral Island's betas, here's what you need to know. A beta is a testing branch of the game, which players can choose to opt into to be the first to test out new features. It's important to note that you will not have access to your current save files in this branch and will have to start fresh. Unless the team decides to release some sort of build that is semi-progressed, so testing can be focused on the new features. I think this is unlikely, and you can probably expect to be starting back on day one, but there's always a chance that they might try something new to zero in the testing on the newer content. The betas are only available on Steam, so not on consoles, and if you do choose to playtest it, rest assured that it will not impact your current game save file. You're essentially going to be downloading a separate version of the game called a testing branch, and once the beta has concluded, you will switch back to your original version of the game and your original save files. This can be a fun and unique experience. It helps the team collect player feedback and bug reports ahead of the proper launch so that the experience can be much smoother for everyone when the update rolls around. I'm sure the team will share more information about the beta closer to May 20th, but for now, it's just important to note that this date is not the launch date for the update itself. May 20th is the date for the beta, not the update. The date for the update will depend highly on how the beta goes, how many bugs need to be fixed, if anything dramatic needs to be changed based on player feedback and experience, so on and so forth. If you really want to set your expectations somewhere for the 1.1 update, I would say don't expect to play it before late June, perhaps even early July. So those were my thoughts on the latest news from the developers of Coral Island, but what did you think? I shared a poll asking which new activity you are most excited for when you start your underwater life. 53% of you said Merfolk Relationships, which, are we surprised by this? It seems that most of you who put down the game or were holding off on playing it at all were waiting for Merfolk Romance to jump back in, so this definitely adds up. 29% of you said Ocean Ranching, which would be my personal pick. I've got my work cut out for me with the land NPCs alone, so I'm mostly excited for these adorable new ranch animals. 12% of you said Ocean Farming. For a farming sim, we sure don't like to farm, hey? And only 5% of you said ocean designing, which is fair based on the very limited amount of decor that the team shared. I do really hope that there's plenty more and that they will continue to add new sets in the future because I think there's so much potential to create some magical, beautiful ocean builds if we're given the right tools. Well, there you have it, friends. That covers all the latest information about Coral Island's upcoming 1.1 version. I hope you enjoyed the first episode of Thinking Out Loud. I'm so excited to now be able to explore a variety of topics and titles in depth with this series where I can share my thoughts more extensively and also hear from you. Please share your thoughts on anything discussed today down in the comments. What are you most excited for, curious about? Will you be playing the beta or holding off until the proper update? Anything and everything, you know I always love hearing from you. Please go ahead and shine the lovely like button if you are so excited to start your brand new life under the sea. And with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. I love you all, and until next time, take care.